This is Shanghai, the business capital of China, and this is W Shanghai The Bund, a venue for one of the most influential and biggest blockchain events in the world, Global Blockchain Summit, organized by Wangxiang Blockchain Labs. Closely working with Ethereum and having Vitalik Buterin himself as their chief scientist, Wangxiang is the largest blockchain development backer in China, investing billions of dollars in various blockchain-related projects. However, despite all their efforts, China has just made a huge move backwards, making blockchain a sensitive issue to even talk about.
Today or yesterday was the day that the market had a really big reaction to the fact that some of the Chinese exchanges have been shut down. And there's a lot of speculation. The week before, the Chinese government made some announcements that ICOs are illegal fundraising. Now, within China, there was a huge market with the ICOs. Some ICOs were reporting about 40% of their investors were coming from China, especially in the pre-ICOs. And the market was somewhat getting incredibly heated. In some instances, we found ICOs in China that were actually had myself as an advisor on them, even though I had nothing to do with them. And we had ICOs that were raising finance in other people's brands. And so scams were getting really out of control.
When people found like it's potentially like profitable, they are too crazy. And it become like irrational. They may bet on some used to be very small project with a larger amount of money, which not only like improve the capital, but also make the whole market too crazy. That's why, like recently, as you can tell, like China rule out a lot of regulation policies.
We know that many people worry about the current situation in China, and the regulation seems like a little bit of sudden to many people. However, we think it's very positive. It is a very positive effect for the cryptocurrency communities in China.
What's really interesting is this whole conference has been about applications of blockchain and interesting things that people are looking to do with blockchains. And no talks about ICOs is allowed. The word, people are very scared of even using the word. Some people have said that one person was arrested. I can't tell whether that's true or not for mentioning an ICO. I just have no idea. I'm just hearing whispers of what people are talking about. But the mood is one of fear. I hear that some companies have left China and they're looking at setting up in other jurisdictions to pursue their business interests.
The blockchain technology is positive, it's encouraged in China. Yeah, so blockchain technology should be implemented to solve the problem, yeah, to provide a solution for the industry, yeah, for the different industry, and then we think it's very good, yeah, and then we also can get more support, yeah. And so for the government, it's also very support this project. They think that it can cut down their cost. Yeah, to support one centralized website to manage all the patients' data, yeah, amongst the different hospitals. Now we want to set up an open sharing the AI platform, and then this business will first deployed in China, and then later to the overseas market. First in China, and now we select several industries to deploy our platform.
With China's underdeveloped financial regulation and lack of legitimate investment options, more than 100,000 Chinese investors contributed up to 394 million worth of cryptocurrencies through ICOs in January-June. The boom has fueled a jump in the value of cryptocurrencies, but raised fears of a potential bubble. Only 10% of ICOs were actual blockchain projects, while 90% simply wanted to quickly raise money. One of the reasons regulators stepped in was that the ICO fee were extended beyond the traditional crypto community. Now the government requires all funds to be returned to Chinese investors.
Illegal ICO are not allowed in China. But still, it's very hard to define which one is illegal, which one is legal. So for me, like this is not good for ICO itself. Out of US or out of China, like projects that out of China, they also actually try to ban the user or the IP from China just because of the legal concern, right?
The Chinese law has a law called fundraising, and unlike America or US or the rest of the world where the regulation is mainly focused on the investor, in China is focused on the entity raising finance. So this would be what they deem to be illegal fundraising.
We want to stop our ICO plan for now and see what's going on in the future. We want to try our best to comply the regulation, the policy, and the law as well.
FSA, who is in control of the Korean currencies in Korea and also the situation in Korea, they're going to make some kind of regulation, and they're really worried about just too many ICOs happening in all around the world, and they want to prevent any scams, any fraud related to that kind of stuff. For example, Japan, they started regulation a long time ago, and they're in the process of reviewing it, and the result is going to come out at the end of this month. And China, as you all know, they just stopped everything at this point. And Korea is kind of in the middle. There's a lot of worries, and there's the movement to go to positive side. So in between China and Japan, Korea is is a gray area. For the blockchain companies in China, they have the strong needs to go outside of China and expand their communities outside of China. Therefore, we believe there's going to be a very active movement among China, Japan, and Korea. And Korea is as I mentioned before, is in gray area, and therefore many people are very attractive to that part. And since there's no regulation yet, so we have very strong needs to connect with China, Japan, and all around the world in blockchain communities.
We want to, now our community in China is very good till now, because now we have near 10,000 supporters. Yeah, they support us. They also, and then our plan is for the community establishment. Now we want to develop the community in Europe, in UK, in Germany, in France, and also in US, yes, and also in Australia, yes. So, and Russia, because we think our project is a global project, because we connect the AI and blockchain. We are the first project to do this great job in the world.
There is an opinion that cryptocurrency exchanges were instructed to shut down mostly because of their involvement in ICOs. The ban might be temporary, and it shouldn't take long for a new policy to see the light. China enjoys its ability to set the global price of cryptocurrencies way too much to lose this powerful tool of influence and let the coins flow abroad. However, while the ICO ban seems to have slowed down the 6-month-long eruption of growth, this does not appear to be the needle that pops the bubble.
I think the regulators and the PBOC and the government have made a clear message, but what's really unclear is what they're going to do next. And so it might be the case, we have seen in the past, that China has to stamp down on something because it gets too heated. It turns into a bubble. We were certainly in a bubble with altcoins and ICOs. I don't think that Bitcoin was in that bubble, and I think a lot of people might be using this as an accumulation phase because Bitcoin didn't necessarily have any tie to ICOs directly. But what happens next? Are we going to see progressive regulation? One thing that came out of this conference is everyone's talking about what they want to do with blockchain. The government have given indications that they want to create their own cryptocurrencies in the past using blockchain. There's been announcement after announcement of smart cities that want to be built upon blockchains. I think they might have a completely different definition of a blockchain, because I think what they're saying is that the blockchain doesn't need to have the digital asset attached to it. And without that digital asset, you have a database, and a database is simply not a blockchain.
This regulation actually is a big deal, and I think yesterday or 2 days ago, like unless there was some rumors, but now it's a reality. Like some Bitcoin exchange are shutting down, and because of that regulation as well. And that it's 4 years ago there's some like a similar regulation, and it hurts the whole market. And right now the same thing happens again. I think short-term wise is a bad news. People have to figure out what, like, does this markets really have future, or is it really a good place to invest, or like Bitcoin, is it really like a future currency or not, right?
Well, for Ethereum or Bitcoin, it is almost impossible to use KYC program into the system. Therefore, the black market is going to be created. It's going to be bigger no matter how we try to control it. But the government, who tries to control the black market and stop spreading, they're going to, I think, encourage a new blockchain platform who can use KYC program in it.
The confidence get lost because of those bad news happens from day to day. But long-term wise, I think as more and more regulation applied on people, on the exchange, on those investors, those channels that connect with people and currencies, I think the whole market will be more and more legit. So long-term wise, I think this is good news. I'm very positive for the long-term wise. I think in the future, when people realize what's the right way to invest in it and what's the right way to build application on top of blockchain, I think the whole market will become hot and increase again. Yeah.
Even though all the Chinese exchanges are stopped at this point, we believe it's going to reopen, or the government is going to create a new exchange that is controlled in healthy environment, and therefore we just need to wait and sit down and see what happens.
Hopefully those exchanges will get the opportunity to come back online. Maybe there will be some fines, maybe there'll be some bad players that are acted out. There was certainly a lot of bad players in this industry with ICOs. It's all to be seen, but the government have certainly made the message loud and clear, and people are reacting, and people are going to decide whether they're leaving the country to pursue their interests, or there's going to be some kind of new progressive regulation that allows them to do their business under a more regulated environment. But we'll see where it goes next.
The Chinese Communist Party will soon embark on its own Game of Thrones as delegates gather for its National Congress in Beijing on October 19. Now is the time when party leaders, countries a high-profile fraud case like ICO, and have to remove all the dark spots on the Xili administration's Chinese Dream project. On the other hand, it would not be surprising to see the bans slowly and quietly get pulled away after mid-October.